And we are live. I think we're live. Hey guys, this is Andy McCann, your host of this podcast called Fitness, Food, and Finance. We're trying to help you lay a firm foundation in those from CrossFit Garage. And so I'm using this little tiny platform because I want to help you guys out there that with something that Evan and I are going through. Well, Evan's going through, and I'm on the journey with him. And I think he's got a lot of wisdom, and I want to share that. I think we both felt alone in this. Him specifically, and me as a dad, just like it crushes you when something's up with your kid. And I just want everybody else to know that there is hope and there is help. So this episode is going to be about the journey down a diagnosis of Crohn's and reversing Crohn's. And I've got a bunch of questions over on the left side of my screen and some video or some stuff on the right side. But Evan's the main feature here. He's going to do a lot of talking. If you are somebody out there that doesn't even know us, you're like, who's Evan and Andy McCann? It doesn't really matter. The thing that we're going to cover here is you have a kid who got a thing in his sophomore year of college, and we're working out of it, and it's not easy, but it's not hard, and we're going to go down that road. So anyway, a couple quick things. We do have a gym, CrossFit Garage, and we are located in this area right here, just north of Atlanta. Come see us. This stuff is going to either be on our YouTube channel, which is right there. So you do at Andy McCann 42. You can find the video, or if you're and if you're listening, then it's on the Fitness, Food, and Finance podcast. So let me pause that. You can find that in any servers. Okay, so I'm going to start with this. Evan, tell us a little bit about yourself. Everyone from the gym probably knows you, but some random person's asking, wait, who's Evan and what's the situation?
Yeah, I'm obviously Andy's son, college, going into junior year very shortly, like moving up tomorrow actually, but ate pretty well at home, did CrossFit, soccer, and then went to school, and the best food I could find was their bulk made dining hall food, which has very low nutritional value, and that plus getting sick a lot and then taking vitamins and just a bunch of bad environment nutrition caused me to get Crohn's.
Yeah. So we're going to run down that whole thing. It does start a little negative. We're actually going to really start it with some positive. We're going to tell you where he's at right now and what we're doing. I think it's important that you know there's solutions, so you don't have to wait to the end. We're going to talk more about them. But the quick one is what type of food or what were the solutions that you're doing now, Evan?
Yeah, right now I'm doing Lion's diet plus a little bit. So I'm doing that, and I'll have coconut products as long as it's just coconut. And the only one I'm able to find that actually does that is Harmless Harvest, which has been good. And then I'll do like raw goat milk or something.
Say it again. I'll pull it up for the video.
It's Harmless Harvest. It's when you go to the store and you see the coconut. For me, I just like coconut. Some people don't, but it gives me something else, which was a bigger thing for me. Like, I have no problem switching up my diet if I choose to switch up my diet. But this was a forced, you need to switch your diet. And I had a lot of mental pushback on that. And this kind of gave me something else to eat. And when you have something like a gastrointestinal issue, it's good to have, it's like you got to bring in different like bacteria. So like kefir is really good. So I do coconut kefir because dairy is bad. And then goat milk I can kind of do. I just try not to do it too much, but that gives me something else.
You had mentioned the Lion diet. Tell them what that is.
Yeah, Lion diet made by Michaela Peterson, Jordan Peterson's daughter. She basically had a lot of autoimmune issues and found the only thing she could eat was rheumatoid animals, which to me, I boil it down to that's red meat.
Well,
and
and
animals with multiple stomachs, and it's pretty much eat red meat, and that's it, and salt and water, and that's what you eat, which is really really difficult when you go from American standard diet, and it was difficult for me going from pretty organic and wanting to eat more meat, because if you're like, oh, I'll just eat some blueberries, can't do that. And the carnivore diet is pretty much the same thing, except they add animal products, so dairy. But the biggest thing there is making sure dairy is a condiment and not a meal substitute. So like if you eat yogurt, you don't want to be eating that as a meal. That's like a side benefit.
Yeah. So I think Michaela Peterson said she had this thing that's sort of working, and maybe other people have done it, and she was going to try to promote it. And she said the harder than carnivore diet, or more strict than carnivore diet, sounds like a stupid name. So she wanted something cool because it didn't feel great. And so she called it the lion diet. But basically it's any animal, cow, sheep, goat, antelope. Weirdly, they put giraffe in here. I wouldn't eat a giraffe, but bison, elk, deer, those sort of things are ruminant. They have multiple stomachs, and she said that works for her. So it's basically meat, salt, and water, and that's it. So Evan and I haven't been entirely strict, but I would say for about 3 weeks, the bulk of what we eat is meat.
Yeah, I've eaten about almost 2 pounds of meat a day. Because the big thing for me too is I'm trying to gain weight, because I mean I went from 170 to 117 in 6 months, which isn't good. So
that is not good. So that's part of the other podcast. But in this story, maybe if you didn't hear it, he came down. So we knew he was, well, we're going to get into that. But when he said, hey, Dad, I'm 117 pounds, I was like, okay, everything's done. Let's not do anything we're doing now. Let's change it all up, because you could die from just wasting away. So we're changing everything. And that's where we sort of went off the rails and in research mode and found all these things. We did. Well, we'll talk about doctors and naturopaths and all that too. But okay. So how much salt are you eating?
Yes. I put it on everything. If I can't taste it, I put more on it. I'll do that element.
Yeah, so I got a picture of that one. It's LMNT.
Yeah, I'll do. Right here. No, that's the other. Yeah, that one. I'll do one of those. So with these, all of them are bad except for the raw one.
Yeah. So what he's saying right there is, you've got options.
The one that
hold on one second. Let me show him. This right here that I'm circling, it's got grapefruit, watermelon, orange, raspberry, mango, chocolate, citrus, whatever. You can buy from them raw. My wife likes a different brand, but you can't get it raw, unflavored. I think this has too much sodium personally. I did 2 of these in one day, just not really thinking about it. And I went to the AJR concert with Levi, and it felt like I was floating in seawater and had been beat up all day. It was an angry day, in the ocean, and I didn't feel good. It's too much salt. So I met a guy, I already knew him. So I was up at Wadify headquarters, and I met with John, and he said he was doing this, and he was doing too much salt. And they told him, hey, if you do too much, you're going to get a kidney stone. So I'm like, dude, okay, that's good to know. I'm going to back off on the salt. So watch out the salt. You do need it. But the weird thing is, you feel like, well, you're going to be missing a whole lot of other nutrients. I mean, Evan, you've been watching a lot of videos on people who do the lion diet. What's the longest someone's gone on the lion diet that you found?
No idea. I do know, I think there was one video, I think the guy was 3 years, at least a year. I do know one guy who went a year into it doing carnivore, not lion.
Yeah.
And the carnivore ray guy I was telling you about a second ago, and he has just started adding back other foods. Oh yes, this one with the he's 10 years into it.
Yeah, so this guy right here had an interview with a lady, I think that was 14 years carnivore.
He's done a few interviews, but he's pretty much, it's not necessarily, oh, I'm 14 years old.
This is Dr. KenDBerry, or you can find him on YouTube, KenDBerryMD. So he's a doctor that I've listened to from another podcast, the Survival Podcast. He does expert bits on there. I didn't know he was all into this, but this guy's gone like staked his career on the fact that this stuff actually works. So he prescribes meat.
There's no way it doesn't work. When the video I saw, he was 42, and he obviously doesn't look like, face wise, he looks wise enough to not be 28, but he doesn't, like, his body is like, he's got muscle. He doesn't look like he's deteriorating at all.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing to me, is like, if you're not deteriorating and you don't look bad, like everyone I see that does this, they tend to look how you would expect someone to look if they go to the gym and eat well.
Yeah, it's true. I've been looking at a lot of people, they don't look underfed. And a lot of them say, yeah, the extra vitamins, it's in the meat. The meat ate it. I'm actually good. So weirdly, they've made it, which is disproving a lot of stuff out there that says you can't live on meat alone. Apparently.
Well, think about it like this. The Inuits in Alaska or up there only have access to meat and fat.
That's true.
I saw another video where there's a record of an Ethiopian king talking to the Persian king, and he's like, "What do your people eat?" And the Persian guy was like, "Well, they eat bread and like other things." And he's like, "Well, our life expectancy is 70 years." The Ethiopian king laughed at him and said, "We eat boiled meat, water, and like milk from our cows, and we live average 120 years." So, I mean, that's a big, like, if it's like,
that's it. This
almost double your life.
The stuff we call food today isn't food. So you have a point in here later on. I probably should have given you this doc so you can see it. But so you talked about draining first. What does that mean?
So yeah. So I don't remember exactly what you talked about earlier with on that other podcast. But
don't worry, pretend it never happened.
Like basically, I was messed up. Food, environment, taking vitamins that should have been taken when you're sick, was taking them twice a day. Pretty stupid. So my body was overloaded with bad food and too much stuff. So when I came home, it was decided that I had parasites. Kind of, I mean, there should have been more tests and definitive answers on it to say that it was parasites. She kind of jumped a bit to conclusions, but she appears to be right from all that. So whatever, I did supplements, did parasite cleanses, and while I did feel, I did feel better. It was like a slow ramp up, but it got to a point where it started to plateau, and I just still felt bad during this whole time. And I'm doing something now with gut health. Do you want to bring up it's with the guy, he has 2 podcasts. His name's Josh Dech, the Gut Health Solution. And they talk about it a lot. They stress it a lot on there. We're draining. So it's basically getting rid of it. What is it?
So yeah, let me just throw out. So this is a video and it's a podcast. So I'm going to try to talk some of these things through because people are driving at the moment while they're listening. So it's gutsolution.ca, and I'll take all these links that I've got pulled up and I'll put them in the video, but I'll also paste them over into the podcast so you can go back and look to them. But yeah, this guy, Josh Dech, good stuff. So keep going on him.
Yeah. So Dad was looking up stuff whenever, like on podcasts, for reversing Crohn's disease, and he came up a lot. Went to his website, and basically a lot of what I know comes from draining and all that comes from them, but it's pretty much when you can kill stuff in your body, but if you're not draining properly, you're going to kill it and it's going to sit. So imagine.
What does draining mean? So I don't know what you mean. Is it like stuff coming out?
I'm getting there. Imagine in your house, you have your garbage can, it fills up, you take it to your dumpster, whatever, and then you have to take it down your driveway. Imagine you never took it down your driveway. It's just sitting there. You never got rid of it. So basically, draining is with lymph nodes and the colon especially are the 2 big ones, and like with the liver and all that. So it actually is the process of getting the dead parasites, in my case, bacteria, toxins, out of your body. You're not just killing it. or using a binder to trap it and move it. You have to actually get rid of it. Because, for example, I have a lot of diarrhea problems. So I'm not draining properly. So I was killing parasites and other things, and it's just building up. Like everything's, so part of that is some of my lymph nodes were swelling a bit, and they were inflamed because they're full and they can't do anything because parasites and other evil bacteria or whatever stop this thing that your liver uses called bile from working properly. And bile is expensive for your body to make, and you need it to drain properly. But your body reuses it because that's just what it does. And they turn it into a more sludgy material instead of bile, and it slows down your system. So currently, right now, I'm talking with these guys, the Gut Health Solution, to figure out to get some nutrition back on my side, because I need to, there's certain things I need to fix, like the draining and all that. So they gave me some supplements.
And do you supplement first or work on the draining first?
Draining. So the supplements is for the draining. It's everything right now is for that. You would think, oh, maybe take a probiotic. They were very like, hey, yes, but later. Right now, we need to focus on this. If we do the probiotic now, we're going straight from step 0 to step 2 when we need step 1 to be complete, which is draining.
That makes sense. What about the anything in particular on the supplements? So you're eating real food, mostly meat, salt, and water, some coconut. You got draining, you got some supplements, but the supplements are all about draining. And then you have detox.
The draining ones one of them is literally called GI solution, so gastrointestinal solution. Another one that I haven't gotten in yet is hydrochloric acid, or HCl, which is your stomach acid. Another one I have is magnesium. So it's pretty much, it's things your body needs and can create, but it's like the HCl, it's expensive for your body to make. So they're going to give it to me so that way I can help my digestion, the digestive process. And then my body doesn't have to make more of that, so it can focus on other things. The only non-normal, natural, whatever thing that they have in there is a biotoxin supplement to help my bile be more correct.
Okay. So on the detox side, what are you doing?
Detox, next step. Like currently, pretty much nothing. Like that's what I was saying with the whole drainage first step, probiotic second is.
What will be done?
Well, lots of things. Like I have something that I got from a friend that works really well. It goes frequency. I don't understand it at all, but I'll use that. Probiotics. I'm not entirely sure what
about the foot
bath? Yeah, then something I am doing I've been doing it for a while, and it's one of the things that has actually like consistently made me feel better is a detox foot bath, because it doesn't just detox your body. It's detoxing, but it's draining. So when my lymphatic system is messed up and I was draining, and it looks disgusting. Like all this crap comes out of your feet and you do this ionic foot bath. It's gross. But the last time I did it, I had a lot less stuff. So when I first started, it was okay. Then it got grosser, and now it's less gross. And basically you can see things like there'll be like white particles floating, and you're like, oh, that kind of smells. What is that? Candida. Weirdly enough. Candida is a very common sugar-eating fungus that is Big
Is that a
deal.
good
Yeah.
picture of it?
So that one actually isn't that bad.
Oh,
Mine would
really?
look like that, but darker.
Yeah.
That's what it looked like last time I did it, but normally it would be darker. There's a bunch of white stuff on top. It's disgusting.
So if you're local, Dr. Eric at Hellsprout, I think, does these. There's also Cameron.
Carmen, it's Garden
Yeah.
Health. I don't know. I don't know exactly. I can.
Garden of Health, right? Yeah, it's in Holly Springs. So it's called an ionic foot bath. And what it's doing is there's some plates down there and electricity running across them, and your feet are at the bottom of your body. And so heavy metals are going to go down there. So it's going to pull out heavy metals, which when we did a hair analysis with Evan, it said you had.
Yeah, I said I had lead or something, but it pulls out heavy metals. It pulls out candida. It pulls everything. Like you can, and it's weird because of how it pulls everything. It like pulls it and clumps it, so you can see the heavy metals, and it's these little like black things.
It's crazy. If you've never done it, if you don't believe it works, put your feet in it, watch it work. It's crazy. So he's doing that on the detox. We did try. I'm going to pull it up, see if I can find it. We did do. Oh, Brooke. We did do this together.
Don't pull up a picture of that. Don't pull up a picture of that. That's
great. You have a nice picture. Basically, it's a massive enema, but they set you up and do this thing. And so I didn't know this. So I didn't know this part. So you got your rectum, you got your large intestines, then a transverse portion, then it goes back down and it connects to your small intestines. There's a one-way valve right there that they can't scope through and they can't water through. So basically, you're only ever cleaning out your large intestines. And when you do like a home-based one, you're never going to get that far. This thing had like a continuous water spray going. It was quite weird.
It still doesn't make it all the way.
You don't think so?
No, she said like if you could probably make it all the way, but like it's like, yeah, you probably could, but there's so much intestine that very rare, like it's more common with this, but even still, like you might not get all the way there, which is crazy.
Yeah. So this was recommended by a couple people. And we're like, hey, literally, guys, if you're not a parent, you don't understand. You're just going to have to trust me on this. When your kid who's 170 pounds comes down the steps and says, Dad, I'm 117, you flip your shit. And I'm willing to do anything. I would, whatever I can do. If I could have given him my kidneys right then and been like, there, you're solved, I would have done it right then and there. I know you need a kidney, but he could have them both. So it's a little bit awkward, but it's unique. So this Colobrook, it's over in
Roswell?
Roswell-ish area, like North Point area. But you can find these anywhere. It's called Colonics, and it's a thing. I didn't know this existed, but fascinating stuff. It rinses out your insides, and it is weird. There's a glass tube down there, so you can see stuff flushing out, and you're like, what the hell is that? That was in me? There's a Lego man? Who put a Lego inside of me? No, there wasn't a Lego, but it is weird. And you're like, I feel like now after doing that, I should probably go do that every once in a while. Like, change the oil in your car. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't really know how helpful that one was. I think it was, but like at the very least, it helped clear out the part of my body that is the inflamed part, which is the front section, or the last part of the colon. So either way, it cleaned it out. And
here's my idea on that. If I cut my hand, I wouldn't rub shit on it. So if I'm going to have a cut inside my stomach or aggravation, I probably wouldn't take the crap off of it. I get it. Your intestines are supposed to have that. But that was just my idea of like, hey, what they're saying makes sense. I think if you had that area clean, then, that would seem to make some sense. Yeah. So I don't know, but I will tell you, I went on a business trip shortly after that, and I didn't have to use the bathroom for like 2 days. It cleans you out for sure. Okay, so maybe recommend this, maybe not. So you did detox. Another one you threw in there was mental state. And this is something I saw in you, and I don't know if you can detect it in yourself. Go ahead and talk about it.
No, well, I'm a bit more self-reflecting, I think, than a lot of people. But there was a few stages to it, but if you want to pull up the self-sustained I always the name's too long for me.
Is
But
this it?
yeah, so this guy who does all this, he's a personal trainer. I say this just because he has a video that you can watch and you can see, like, looks like a normal guy,
I'll go
but
find it.
he had problems. He got, I think he got some sort of IBD, with irritable bowel disease, and went from 200 to 150, and he went from really good to awful, and now after 4 months of lion diet, pretty much just eating beef, he's back to looking good. He still has a lot of he can't eat things, but yeah, is this the video?
No, it's not the right one, but it's the right guy.
Yeah, I think it was the one under. But either way, them interviewing him when he's sick, you can see like he looks like he's about to fall asleep at all times. Yeah, like he looked like he looks unhealthy, and like he has something wrong with him. Like,
yeah, look at his cheekbones. You guys can't see this. It's called "How Keto Cured My Crohn's," official documentary, and his site is self-sustained training. And I mean, this guy is tiny. He's he's not good.
He lost.
Let me find one of his other pictures where he was showing himself bulked up.
If you go really far into it, you can find it.
There you go.
That's
him, like 190 or something.
It's crazy, but basically, I say that to say you can see the mental impact it has on you in that just watching that. But it's a lot of. I mean, I didn't really get depressed from it, or there's a few short periods where you could say that, like when the lady tells you you have a lifelong autoimmune disease that will never get fixed, you kind of shut down a bit. But overall, it's excruciatingly painful at all times. The only reason I can function is I have to take a steroid, which I hate doing. But
are you in pain right now?
No, it's a little uncomfortable.
Okay.
You get used to it.
So do you think, so there was a turning point. I know we're going off script here. I got a little thing to the side to keep us on track, but we want to help them. And I think this is valuable. There was a time when it seemed like the hey, maybe it's a liver parasite sort of went away, or maybe it was killed or cured, or I don't know, something, but you're still doing those medicines and you're still in so much pain. And then we quit doing everything. And it's like the next day you're like, I don't feel nearly as bad. So I'm curious, was it the change to eating lion diet, or maybe was it the change of adding in a steroid that finally made it be like, or getting rid of the other things you were trying to supplement with?
Yeah. So we'll back up farther. Not doing anything was it was bad. I always felt bad. My stomach pain was a bit less, but everything else was worse. In May, I started doing all the stuff. May and June, I did all the supplements and everything. All my side effects started to get better. Pain in the stomach didn't. Part of this is, again, I'm not draining properly. I'm not absorbing things properly. My stomach is messed up. So I'm putting all these pills into my stomach, and my stomach has to digest these things. And I am putting these pills that are supposed to help into me, but I'm not even digesting food properly, like broccoli straight through. That's another thing. If you eat it and you see it, don't eat it.
Yeah, so that's actually a good bullet point. So we missed these. So he said, hey, Dad, write these down. I'm going to say them for you since I got them written here and you don't see it. But don't be dumb. Lion for elimination, and then maybe move into carnivore. If you see it in your poop, you didn't digest it, so don't eat it, which kind of goes back to don't be dumb. Yeah. And then I think one of my favorites
was... Don't be dumb has more parts to it, where going a little bit forward in time past this, I threw up, I think pretty much once a week, at least in June. And every time I went to the bathroom, I thought I was going to throw up. That was because there's too much happening. The supplements were too much for me. So when I stopped taking them, my stomach was able to relax and start to do like that type of like, it's like relaxing, like, okay, we're doing okay. Eating whole foods, specifically just meat, helpful. The don't be dumb also comes in because he goes, hey, I bought you this really high calorie smoothie. Don't eat it all right now. Take small amounts. My brain heard that and translated it to, you're an idiot. I can't believe you did this to yourself. Drink all of this right now. And I threw up. So that's what I mean also with don't be dumb. Your decision making is not the best. So like I literally like, I'm like, you have to like, I'm second guessing everything, not because I'm paranoid or something, because I'm literally an idiot now with some of this.
So that's
Because
an
I
interesting
mean,
one. I did talk
like,
to your mom about, I was like, hey, I don't know if Evan's like making like correct, wise decisions. I think like not everything's processing correctly. Could you like
it's
when you talk to
definitely
him,
not.
like see what's going on, see what you think. So we did come to the idea that maybe you were like basically had that brain fog, but
Yeah, I have had one or two times where like we went out to eat. They happened to be playing live music, and my uncle asked me a question, and I hadn't done the thing or whatever, and my brain's trying to explain that like, yeah, I'll get there eventually, but right now, and just the noise and trying to think of that, my brain just shut down and just went fog, and I had a headache for the next like 24 hours.
yeah,
So there's
I remember.
weird like it was just like that'll just happen, like it just happens. So like trying to figure out all of those aspects. But yeah, going still moving forward with all of that. Like I'm a very extroverted person naturally. I tend to have a opposite of a social battery where I need to be around people and doing things more often than by myself. Like being by myself starts to drain that battery instead of the opposite. I've been completely fine sitting by myself doing absolutely nothing, and I've never been able to do that before.
Yeah, I
And
was worried for you, man.
it was like a lot of it too is bathroom, got to have access to that. The porcelain prison must always be available because,
And how are you okay? Like now, can you go for 2 hours or more without?
yeah, I can. I choose not to for the sole purpose of I
Just
never know if it's just going to be gas or if it's going to be gas plus.
right.
So it's like I might as well sit down, make sure I'm good, and then get on with the day.
So
But
yeah,
yeah,
this is actually interesting too because it comes into a play later on. But I don't think I understood that part in the conversation because I mean, seriously, I don't really talk. I mean, I talk to my kids about a lot of stuff, but we're not like, "Hey, buddy, how's your crap?" Right? It's just not even in this, which I should have been. Parents, if your kids got a thing, ask every question. You need to ask them everything. Hey, are you throwing up? Are you throwing up a lot? Are you throwing up often? Hey, are you crapping? What does it look like? How's it going? Like many people, like there was a chart on the wall at the GI specialist that said, here's the 7 poop levels. And I'm like, well, son, I mean, that makes sense. They have poop levels. And it's like, like diarrhea is down here and all the way up here is like constipation. And I'm like, oh, well, we should like have numbers. And in something like this, you need to ask the questions. Okay. So mental state is huge. Have your friends around you, go out and do things, but
yeah,
maybe not go out.
meditation.
Maybe have them come over, right?
Yeah. Another thing, social life, you don't want to have one when you're doing this for the most part, but you got to. Otherwise, the big thing, don't make it a personality trait. Like I have Crohn's, whatever. Tell the people, tell your family and friends and whatever, so that way they know. So when they're like, hey, I used this example before, we're going to the mall. I can't do that. How about you come over and we play like a board game? They're like, why? I want to do the mall. I can't. You have to explain like this doesn't work for me at the moment. And they make, oh, okay, and understand. Because if you're just all closed up about it, but at the same time, that's not you. It's a thing that you got to deal with. So don't make it your personality trait.
Right. It doesn't define you.
Yeah. And something that helps too, stress is a big factor in all this. So you gotta be calm. Like I don't have anxiety or stress in the normal sense. Like grades, no problems. Like whatever, I got that grade. I tried. Like sometimes you win some, you lose some, but I have a hard time with some things. Like if I get angry quickly, and I'm like, oh, I'm all mad, and this spikes it a lot, and it makes my stomach like it aggravates my system. And there's vagus nerve is a big one where it like it's brain to body. It's specifically like your digestive system and all that. And some people you'll see they're they're wound tight is because they're always in a fight or flight response. And I saw one thing where this guy got into a really bad accident, and every time he went by that intersection, his brain was immediately like freaking out. Like he's like, who's going to hit me next? And he's on alert. So it's just, you got to calm down, slow down, and like get in tune. You can do that with box breathing, different breathing techniques. Binaural beats is another one I've heard.
What's working for you?
I just calm down.
For me, it's usually just take a deep breath and then
let
it out slowly.
It's taking deep breaths and understanding. This is a big one that's just an in general thing. My perspective is not your perspective.
Oh, I hate that. It's true, and I hate it.
And
why don't you know exactly what I know? Come on.
Like, you just got to understand, sometimes someone asks a stupid question, but to them, it's totally valid. You just got to accept that. Sometimes they're doing something, like if something angers you, to realize they're not probably trying to anger you. They don't really care for the most part. Like people care about you, but like you're not the main character to them.
Right.
And you just got to calm down and realize that they're not after you.
Take a deep breath, chill. Yeah. Okay. Let me go through some of these things you got in there. So this is where we're at right now. There are positive solutions. So eat real food, drain, supplements for draining, detox, mental state, sleep and rest, and don't be alone. Talk to your friends. So that's the thing.
Yeah, I can talk about that one a bit. I don't think I've mentioned that one.
Sure.
Yeah, like for me, at the worst part, I was 2 hours of sleep, wake up, go to the bathroom. Half the time I'm actually on the toilet going to the bathroom. And that's for months. But if you can fix sleep, it helps energy. That's a big thing. Like I would say nap if you have to, but it's better to just try to sleep during the night. I've had times where I have to. I hate napping. I think it's stupid. But trying to fix your sleep is just overall helpful. So apparently I think it's a parasite, they'll eat like your nerves or some neurological thing to make your brain. So your brain has a detox pathway, and they will stop you from getting good sleep because when you sleep deep and well, your brain flushes stuff. So if they can stop you from doing that, they keep the environment good for them. Yeah. So that's why sleep is also important for that. Rest, I would count as not sleeping. You need to not be on the move. Like for me, high stress, not stress, but like doing things like, hey, I went to Costco and then I got on a call. I called the GI doctor and I called the school to get all the stuff figured out to make sure when I come back to school, I'm not going to screw myself over with anything. That's too much. That's enough for me. I then need to go take a break. I need an hour to go and just chill out. Otherwise, I'm going to mess myself up for the rest of the day.
Yeah, take it nice and slow. All right. So some of the backstory of this, I'm going to go through it quick. You raise your hand and jump in there. I think I can. So Evan is upstairs because I don't have a great system to like set it up near each other. I can hear you talking. I can hear it slightly delayed. So when I finish talking, yeah, it's a little bit off. So just when you want to say something, throw your hand up and I'll shut up and then we'll just jump right into you. But I'm going to try to quickly go through some things since we're at 40 minutes right now. So what happened from my view, and he's going to jump in there with a hand raise, is Oh, actually, before I do that, this an Enlifted, Enlifted, Enlifted.me, something that I'm really loving about calming you down and changing the stories in your
I
head.
haven't
But
looked at this yet either, but I need to.
yeah. So, okay. Evan goes to college at 170 pounds for his sophomore year. He's living in a fraternity house. Everything's looking good. He's probably taking too many vitamins. I didn't really understand what that meant, but you know what happens when you take too many of those things. Anyway, we go skiing in December for the break. He's looking pretty good. Nothing's wrong. Everybody's okay. I mean, all the kids hate each other because that's what happens. Yeah.
So during that first semester, I was pretty much taking vitamins that you would oil, like natural vitamins that you're supposed to take when you're sick for a maximum of like 2 weeks, twice a day. And I've been doing that since like January. And I've been sick from dog and other things, whatever. But I was bloated and I was messed up during that time too. I just didn't know it was up because I've never had stomach problems. And I did eventually fix it because I was complaining about it. And he's like, well, how about you stop doing stuff and doing those things and all that. Ironically, that happened twice. I had to stop taking stuff because it was messing me up.
But now you know, so be less dumb. Have someone else validate the choices you're making. So we go skiing. They come back. He goes to school. His fraternity, BYX, goes on a cruise. Potentially eats something weird. We don't know. But he comes back and he's like, hey, something's not right. And I don't think I paid enough attention to it. But basically, when I went to pick him up from school, when they graduated, or not graduated, when the semester ended and they're moving out, I'm like, damn, dog, you don't look good. And he's like, yeah, I've been trying to tell you that. And so miscommunication, one of the biggest failures of communication is to think you've communicated but failed to. And this is a big fail on mine. So he's down to 135.
Yeah, this is like he'd come before a few times and he's like, you don't seem too bad because like this is like at the start, like I might feel really bad, but you're not going to see it. There's another thing where you got to actually explain and seriously sit down. Because people, if you just offhandedly say something or just say it so often, aren't going to really pay attention. Like you're not the main character. You need to get them like involved real quick.
Yeah.
Like he's saying, like it's like, oh, I know you're feeling bad. What does that mean? Like, let's like, hey, my stomach hurts versus I can't get up because my stomach hurts so much. I'm in bed. This didn't happen to me. I'm saying like I'm in bed, unable to move because my stomach hurts so much. If you actually describe it fully and say, I need help, they're more likely to actually do something than if you just go, oh yeah, my stomach hurts or whatever. But like that's, I don't know, communication, still a big thing.
Yeah, for sure. I found Michaela. So this is Michaela Peterson. She's married, so it's not Peterson anymore, but she's the one that does the lion diet. And she's got a little page on the things she eats. But basically it's meat, salt, and water. So, okay. So he comes home. We don't know what's going on. We do our normal thing, which we are not very big into the whole medical world. The very short story is my family, part of our family is allergic to chicken eggs. And they incubate many of the shots with chicken embryo. So we asked the pediatrician, hey, what about that? And he's like, hey, you should leave. And we're like, what the hell? So from an early age or early on in our family, we just were not all that in tune with what the medical world was doing. So we've always sought other things first, like chiropractics, eating healthy, CrossFit or whatever. So when Evan comes home, we start down that path, which maybe it did its job or maybe it didn't. We don't really know. But eventually got to a point where he's like, Dad, I'm 118 pounds. I'm like, okay, full stop. Let's go. And I was like, I was broken. I'm like, I got to save my son. I mean, I freaked out in maybe a good way, but
it was necessary. It was necessary. I mean, you get to a point where it's like someone eventually goes, oh, you're actually messed up. But my idea is, yeah, it was parasites. I think the medicine they gave me for it messed me up too, because they gave me something and I think it was too much and I think it was a prescription. The prescription one I think messed me up a bit, but basically I think what I was saying earlier, you don't skip step one. You have to drain. I skipped step one. and that's why I was still messed
When
up.
you say drain, do you mean crap, pee, snot?
Yeah, mainly pooping.
Yeah. Okay.
Peeing too, but pretty
water
much
would eliminate through that way as well.
Yeah, it's like, well, think about it like okay, you ate something, it's got you have a parasite. You have to get that out of your body.
Yeah.
If I kill it and it stays in my body, sure, I killed it, but it's just sitting there.
Right.
Like I had a hard time. I think my body had a hard time finishing the process. And the finisher needs to be first in this case. Otherwise, nothing's going to work.
Right. I like that.
So
That makes sense.
I basically gunked up my body even more.
You did blood work. You did hair samples. You did other stuff. What was probably the most identifying one, the one that was the most valuable, or did you have to do them all? I mean, what would you say is the thing they should make sure they do?
Well, for one, the hair analysis I did once. I don't understand that at all. It doesn't make sense to me how they can understand that. It said it said don't do lead, or I have lead. I don't really understand that one at all, but blood work wise, I've gotten the basic blood work done like 5 times. And there were certain things that were messed up. Like I had low vitamin D, then I had high vitamin D. My ferritin levels were really high, but my iron was low. My ferritin levels were good, but my iron was low. The big ones were there's a protein or something that's heart protein, we'll call it. It has something to do with your heart and something to do with protein. It is normally between like 0 and 1, and if you're got an infection or something, it's like 2 or 3. If you're really messed up, it's like a 10. Mine was 23. So they're like, something's messed up here. They have another thing where I did blood work to see if I had Crohn's. That blood work they do, if you're normal, it's under 200. If you have Crohn's, it's 2,000. Mine was 8,000.
8,000.
Yeah.
Something's broken.
Something's messed up big time. But I don't want to do.
Yeah, so I was going to say, there's the thing. He did a lot of stabs and studies, and I don't know which ones were valid or not. The hair analysis gave you a food allergy list, which basically we said, forget all that. Let's just do the lion diet. So we just went with meat and what other people had seen worked on autoimmune issues. Does it work? I don't know. We'll tell you. But if it pushes it back, puts it in remission, then it worked. Does it mean you have to eat this way the rest of your life? According to Michaela Peterson, she does. And I get it. I mean, I don't eat sugar. It's been 10 years. Yeah, it's okay. You get used to it. I'm enjoying this 3 week of meat eating. I'm like, this has been great. I'm like, I can eat more fat. So weirdly, I crave fat and salt a lot. And I eat as much steak and protein as I want. And I mean, I'm normal weight. Actually, I was a little light. But okay, so he's also done some CT scans. Interesting for you guys out there, you parents. Self-pay was $600. Insurance pay was $6,000. So that whole system has to be broken if they can do that.
Yeah.
He did the colonoscopy and endoscopy. What's that?
They do it for tax write-offs and stuff.
Yeah.
They just call it a business loss or something, and then they take it off of taxes.
The other thing we didn't like is the GI specialist basically said, hey, there's 3 things you can do, and I'm not going to push you down any one of them. The first one is not great. It's really old. It doesn't work. The second one's the best choice. The third one might kill you. Which one do you want me to talk about? The second one? That's right, because it's the best choice. That's literally what she did. So it was a biological that uses all that new fancy shot stuff, like one with the jabs, to redo your insides, and it costs like $200,000. I'm like, yeah, I don't know. That doesn't sound like what we want to do.
Yeah, it basically, we're going to mess up your DNA. We're not going to help you. We're going to basically, let's say you get stabbed with a rusty nail and you get tetanus. They don't put a Band-Aid on it. That's what that's what all the medicine for Crohn's is. They put a Band-Aid on it, and it's pretty much take this medicine. It's the best one. However, it might make everything worse, and you're going to get cancer a lot faster.
Yeah, they said it may work. If it doesn't, it may also make your colon die. We'll have to take it out. And we're like, well, those are pretty aggressive choices. So
so I decided that sounds stupid. If I got here by diet, I can get out of this by diet.
And so back on Josh's website, if I can find that.
Yeah,
He's got a great little Venn diagram, I think at the bottom here. Yeah, so you have toxins, microbial imbalances, and diet nutrition deficiencies. And so
I basically had all of them.
Yeah, and you put it all together, and something's going to trigger, or your immunity is too low. Other things pop out. I mean, right now you have inside of you bacteria that would love for you to love to eat you, but your body is fighting it. So when you die, that bacteria takes over, and that's what happens with you die.
It's a lot of stuff, but another big thing, even going back to the element stuff, the reason we said on that, for me, the reason I said do the raw one and other things is people nowadays I'm not saying this company's bad by no means, but a lot of places, even they put it in meat for some reason, like they put citric acid in everything, and that ruins my stomach. Like personally, I can't touch it. Like I had one of the flavored ones, and I like took like 3 sips, and I felt awful immediately. But like stuff like that, where if it's not a food that your great grandmother would eat on a normal basis, you probably don't want to touch it. So
I like that.
Yeah, all your Twinkies, your cake, your bread, there's no point. Go figure out how to make bread or something, and it'll be better. You'll like it more, and it won't screw you up.
Yeah. So another interesting one that you educate yourself in all this stuff, and things come to light. So apparently, if you drink milk, there's like an A1 protein casing and an A2 protein casing or something like that. A lot of people are allergic to the A1. Not as many allergic to the A2. So the lady's like, no dairy at all because we said so. And even in the Lion diet, they say that because it's those 2 casings. Apparently, you can breed cows to be more A2, and therefore it's less pressure. But then Evan asks, go ahead.
Yeah, basically, cows have been bred for the A1 because they produce more milk or something. The A2, they pretty much are the same thing, but A1 is like 10 times inflammation, and A2 is like 2 or something. Let's just go with that. I can do goat milk, and I get really congested from eating dairy. The goat milk it's like maybe a little bit, but I mean, that's just because there's lactose. Like that's a whole different issue, probably, I think. But A2 apparently is fine. That's a big thing. They say no dairy, no gluten, because gluten overall just promotes inflammation. And,
of course, on the Lion diet, there's never any gluten.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like most people. So going with online diet really quick, if you choose to do it, it's a lot easier than if you're forced to do it. But that's part of the reason I kept like coconut products, and then I'll talk about this in a second too. And then I'll do like the goat milk stuff. It's just something extra, so that way I'm not feeling so restricted and messed up. I got this from Costco, Manuka honey. It helps a lot with like allergies. It's technically considered a medical grade like honey, pretty much. It's pretty crazy, but it's apparently really good for you. Some sort of New Zealand bee or something. I don't understand any of it really, but it's apparently super good for you. You can get it at Publix. You can get it at Costco. It's apparently some sort of like considered medicinal or whatever, but that's helpful. So
WebMD on it right there.
Yeah, but that was just something that is supposed to be really beneficial. But at the same time, don't be eating it like a meal. It's not candy.
Right.
It's a helpful thing. You can do other things like what you just had at CarnivorBar. I wasn't too much of a fan of it. They're good. They're helpful. Super great idea.
So here's what I would use this for. It is hard to eat, and I eat just meat and fat and salt right now. And it's basically a fat bar with meat chunks in there and some salt. The salt's a little too gritty, so I'd have to let it melt in my mouth a little bit. I think if it had less aggressive salt, it'd probably be better. But It is not a bar that you're going to be like, oh, yay. I mean, it's basically dehydrated beef, but a lot more fat. I think it serves a purpose. If you had them in your backpack and you're like, oh, man, I'm weirdly hungry. But when you do the lion diet, you're never really hungry. Yesterday, when I was up at Philly visiting Wadify, I had my egg breakfast. So I ordered 4 eggs. And the lady's like, anything else? I'm like, nah, just the eggs. Guzzled that down. They had a brought-in lunch, which were sub sandwiches. Of course, I'm not going to eat that. So I took some of the took one of the beef ones and took the meat and just ate the meat. And it was just like 2 strips of meat, so it wasn't anything. And I was like, well, I'll go get some food later on. I wasn't hungry at all. We eventually made it to Dave & Buster's, their party thing, and everything they had was some sort of breaded meat. So I was like, I'll just wait. I'm like, that's weird. I'm not even hungry. When I finally made it back to the hotel around 9 o'clock after eating at 7 in the morning, I was like, I should probably eat. I ordered 2 hamburgers, took them patties off, and just ate them. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So speaking of that, the guy that we were talking about earlier that's been doing this for 10 plus years, he talks about it with, you're not going to feel as hungry. Not a bad thing. It's different. We're used to, people nowadays are used to how you get hungrier faster when you eat bread and that type of like faster acting. When you eat mostly fat, you're not as hungry. However, he says, go based off of taste. You eat until it tastes bad.
Yeah.
But you still need to eat. So I think it's definitely like maybe eat one meal, but do a lot. So that way you get to a point where you're like, I'm like 3/4 of the way done and I don't want to eat anymore. Perfect.
Yeah. Now
tomorrow.
That's probably someone like me who's just normal and I'm just figuring out how to eat this. For you who needs to gain calories, we want you to eat like 4,000 calories a day. And it's got to be pretty much all meat right now, which means
impossible.
Yeah. You gotta want to lose weight. Just eat as much meat as you want and nothing else but meat. You're going to lose weight because you just can't eat that much meat. It's so much like density.
That's why the goat stuff has been helpful and the coconut stuff, because it's just extra. It's still helpful. It's nothing super processed. Like it's raw goat milk. It's coconut water. It's coconut kefir, which is helpful. And then the honey, like I need more calories. I would do these Go macro bars, but apparently nuts have some sort of mold thing. Like it is inherently, like coffee beans too have mold, and it messes me up. Or I don't think it messes me up, but I've been told, hey, don't do it because of the mold. I love these things. It's too far. I can't grab it, but
I got it right here on the screen.
300 calories or just under 280, 290 down. Eat all the meat I want. Eat 2 or 3 of these a day. 3,000 calories easy.
Yeah, but it was getting them a little bit. So we're off of those for now. You do want some,
but it's all good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. You want some other things in there. So let's see. So CarnivorBar is just CarnivorBar.com. Go to Amazon and you can find that Go macro bar, but don't eat those right now. The other thing that Evan was using is Paleovalley, which is was it a beef stick, or you ordered some?
I ordered some. Another one you can get is Chomps. I'm gonna say pretty much the same, maybe a little bit more. I don't know if it's better or worse. It's different. I'm gonna try the paleo one because they said something about they ferment it, which helps it stay shelf stable.
You got quiet.
Is a good thing for me because I need that. It generally means there's better. I don't know, but fermenting is how you make kefir and all that. So I'm thinking it's a good idea. Chomps is just another one that I could just pick up at the grocery store because this is now what I have as a bar. It's a beef stick. But
some other things that we found, if you're going to be eating a lot of meat, it doesn't necessarily have to be like super sourced, but it can't be aged. On the Lions diet, you don't want aged. It brings up more histamine, so you want a fresh one. So buy frozen. You can buy in bulk. It's better to have meat, but then it'd be better to have like better meat. But you can always buy better and better and better meat, and it becomes very expensive. So some things we found, I'm just going to bust through these because we're about to hit an hour, so there's the Corner Edge Butcher Shop in Athens that he's going to be going to get some meats. We've got the North Georgia Meat Company in LJ. So if you're down here in Georgia, White Oak Farms, which is South Georgia, but you can get a lot of fresh beef, meats. So beef bacon is something that Evan's going to talk about in a second. And then up here in Town Lake area or Canton is the Corner Butcher Shop. So they actually buy meat from the North Georgia guys. So you can get that, and they make good stuff. So there's your meat sources. And what was this guy right here? Oh, that was Carnivore Ray.
They're good. But I like this guy. He did a year carnivore, and he was fat, fit, then fat, and now is fit again. And I like this one just because I see him a lot. He's super chill about everything. He talks about, like, go to Costco. You can get their ground beef pretty cheap or whatever. You can ask them for like a 10-pound tube of meat, of ground beef. Like if you just have to go up to the window and ask. But he just started adding in. He did carnivore, so he did dairy products, and he also did coffee. That's a bit more of a normal version of this. But he just started adding. He added like avocado, kiwi, and honey.
And this guy is Carnivore Ray, all one word, on YouTube. Or I probably Instagram.
I have him on Instagram, but I like it just because you can see after a year, he's just starting to get into that process of I'm bringing back in foods. But I just think that's interesting. Like instead of just talking about it as a lifestyle, this is what I do, or I'm just starting it, you have someone who is more so on the back end of the diet part.
Right. Well, and so parents, I'm 50. Evan is not. I am. And I'm doing this with him, mostly out of support, but I'm like, hey, I'm fascinated. I'm seeing older people like myself, like Jordan Peterson. So I go up to this business meeting, and it turns out recently was the birthday of the actual owner of the company. So I send him a text. We're all sitting there laughing and stuff. And I said, hey, by the way, we're doing a lion diet. And so now we have this huge conversation. He's doing it too. I'm like, yet another person directly in my life that's doing an elimination diet. And he said exactly the same things we're saying. And he's a real live human that I actually know and trust. And he's done it. He's ahead of me. I'm like, great. Tell me the story. So this stuff is real. If you're at my gym, girls too, I mean, people, if you're at the gym and you're like, Andy, how do I do this? For health, great. Carnivore diet, the lion diet, we're here to help you. It's not tricky. It's literally meat, salt, and water. Your other people in your life are probably gonna be pissed that you're eating it. Now when I cook dinner, I'm like, I'm making steak. What else does anybody want? Because that's all I'm making for myself. So Evan and Levi are like, I'll just take 2 steaks. And the girls are like, well, we need other things. I'm like, great, well, tell me, so I'll make them. So make sure you talk to people if you're going to go down this route. I can do it for myself all day long. I add extra food in there. I add extra protein. You guys can do this. Now, when you're doing it for that, my joints feel good. I'm sleeping great. All this stuff is great. You just got to keep going. But if you're doing it for Evan's perspective, he's going to tell you, you kids out there, or you people suffering through Crohn's or IBD or IBDS, irritable bowel syndrome, and all those things, or an immune issue. He's going to tell you about his journey on that and what his takeaway for you is.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm doing it because I kind of have to, but the brain fog has definitely been less. I generally feel better. The only problem, I'm still having digestive problems, but I'm more consistently not having diarrhea. It still shows up sometimes. Like yesterday I had both sides. I had good and then I had not great at all. I don't know why. It could be because I just went into the colonics thing a little bit ago, but you have to be careful too on the fat side, which is why they say eat till it doesn't taste bad, because you can eat too much. It's difficult to eat too much fat.
Yeah.
But your body probably isn't used to the right amount. So you're going to have diarrhea. If you have diarrhea, you should probably chill out. But I'm just like, that's what I mean when don't be dumb. Just because someone says it's a good idea doesn't mean you should blindly listen. I've seen one person who is younger try to do carnivore and it did not work for him. He had to do vegetables and fruits and he added it and he was good. I don't understand that at all, but there are certain things where I think like maybe it's not for you. Like it's generally a cure-all, I would say. But there's another, I don't know his name. There's another guy, he's a doctor. He did carnivore, and overall good, but he had some mental, like he was like, overall it's good, but like we're like 10% missing and I can feel it. He added in fruit and he's good. That's what he does. He does fruit and meat. I think Joe Rogan does that too. I think so.
Joe Rogan's carnivore
But
as well.
he does the carnivore and the fruit. It's pretty much, it boils down to eat food, like eat whole foods, eat foods that are not stupid. Like if it's got if the ingredients are not words that a 10-year-old would know, you probably shouldn't eat it. Do you know what the word dextrose is? No, you don't. Probably
Anything with
shouldn't.
an oats is sugar.
Do you know what starch is? Hopefully. But it's just like also like beef bacon, super, it's just a treat. Like when you're like, I want something, but you don't want much, it's nice. I will say it's a bit greasy, and I have been messed up by that. So be
That's
careful.
what he just said in his the Joe Rogan post. He's like, hey, 28 or whatever the weeks are. He's like, it's good and bad. Let's start with the bad. I don't know how bad this is, but I got a lot of diarrhea. And if he's doing MMA and rolling on the mats with people, that ain't good.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's like, there's going to be things if you change up your diet that much, well, no duh, you're going to have something wrong. You got to be careful.
Yeah.
Like maybe you go slow. Also, if you miss a day or you screw up, it doesn't matter. Literally no one cares. Not a single person but you cares. And if you do this really cool thing called keep going, you're good.
That's right. Streaks are stupid. Just pick up the whatever and start again. Just go. It's not a streak. It's not starting over. It's just continuing. That's life. Yeah. That's exactly right.
But yeah, it doesn't mess you up, you're fine.
Yeah. Okay. So, guys, if you are at UGA and you're finding yourself in this situation, the year is, let's see, it's August 8th, 2024. So I'm trying a new thing where my podcast episodes are closer to the actual date I release them. But if you're in UGA and you found this somehow, Evan is up there. He's BYX, and you'll probably be able to find him that way. Go talk to him. He's great at helping folks. This kid, he's not a kid, he's a young man. Loves to help people as much as I do.
If you're in a job, so technically a kid.
There you go. That's right. I love that. Sorry, he's taking daddy's money. If you're in the Woodstock area, if you're a member of the gym, of course, duh, I'm here to help. So look, Evan, when he worked with Josh Dech, this guy right here, he had a great statement. I'm stealing it because I love it. He's like, Evan's mentor in this program said, Evan, the program looks daunting, but you're not buying a program. You're buying a mentor. Guys, when you're in the gym and this stuff looks crazy hard, you have me. You have all the coaches. You have all the people with you. You're not alone. Call me, text me, call them, text them. Well, call me. I don't know if they want you to. I'm sure they do, but hit me first, right? You get me for this journey. And man, I am 50, living a pretty good life. My kids kind of like me, and I got a little bit of retirement, and I got things are going good. My health is up. I don't take any drugs. We want to be here to help you. Evan would be there to help you too if you're at UGA. If you're just in the Woodstock area, you're like, hey, I'd like to get a little piece of whatever you guys have. Just go to our website, CrossFitGarage.com, go to the Get Started or the homepage or the Get Started page and fill the stuff out. If you don't actually want to come in and do anything, you can just follow along on our the podcasts or the YouTube, whichever one you're on right now. Great. We're going to talk about stuff and help people. Why? Because it's the right thing to do. I am so small in the stuff we do. I don't make money at that. I want to help people. And we've only been doing this. Evan, Levi, and I started doing these podcasts like a year and a half ago, and there's like 11,000 downloads. I don't know who you are that's listening, but if we're helping you, then it's worth it. So we're here for help. If you're not in the Woodstock area and you're out regionally, then I will help you find someone to help you because local is better than not. Evan, anything else?
Yeah, real quick, just because you said something about drugs and all that. They can be helpful. I'm taking a steroid right now to help calm everything down so I can get on track. The other thing with supplements, I've heard is don't use supplements as a plant-based medicine that you're always going to take. Supplements are there to help you. Sure, some of them you might want to take all the time, but you don't want to substitute modern medicine for plant medicine. You want to be self-sustaining and self-sufficient, which is, how about you just eat some food? If you eat real food, you probably don't need these things. Maybe your body needs an extra boost. Why not? But the goal for me is to be able to eat what I want. Saying that, I don't want to eat ice cream. So there's things like that where when I say I eat what I want, it's, yeah, I'm eating mostly meat with some, maybe a few other things. But I can eat and live a normal life without taking copious amounts of supplements or like medicine that's going to mess me up for life.
Yeah.
Because it's also expensive.
Use food. Apparently this lion diet is working for people. Give it a shot. All right, we good? All right, guys. Yeah. Hey, we're here for you, whether it's at UGA in Athens or down here in Woodstock. We got your back. Y'all take care.